Hi folks, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the plot. I'm hiding from the hailstones in the greenhouse at the moment. It's a very strange cold snap. There's blue sky and sunshine just over there. It's cold, miserable and windy, but we're doing something a bit different today. It's been almost exactly 1 year since I started making YouTube videos, just over. And we've had a load of new subscribers join the channel. So really good timing. I thought it would be great to kind of go back and have a look at what the allotment looked like when we took it on and look at all the changes that we've made over the last year. I really hope you enjoy. This is the first picture that I ever took of the plot when we first came to visit it. While the sight of this gigantic jungle of weeds filled us with dread, there was also a really deep excitement. I loved the idea of getting stuck into it and being able to make such a big impact and change, and we agreed to take it on. And now we see a very different view from the path. I will admit, it's not the most attractive or welcoming, but it's a surefire improvement and it's very practical. Just here, by the path, we have, of course, the compost bins. So, although they might not look the nicest here, we've placed them here because it's really convenient for vehicles and deliveries right by the main path. And it's in quite a well-travelled area. A really good piece of advice that I picked up from Simplify Gardening is to not have your compost bays tucked away in a dark corner where they become neglected and underused and just a home for pests. And over the last year, we've used these to produce a really good amount of high quality homemade compost from kitchen scraps and allotment waste. And I'm sure a good bit of that greenery that was here when it was a jungle made its way into this compost as well. As we started to make our way through the brambles, we then had to start digging the ground. And this part of the plot was the absolute worst. Underneath the jungle of brambles, there was a jungle of roots. It took days and days of digging these beds over to get as many roots out as I possibly could. But now, long after those first days of digging and digging, we've got our two first veggie beds. This one was incredible. I was able to grow a huge number of salads. I thought they'd all get eaten by the slugs, but I had some kind of insane beginner's luck, and this was filled with salads. And a bit later in the year, we harvested some onions from this part of the bed, and they did okay, but they had something that looked a little bit like onion white rot. This bed, on the other hand, was filled with carrots and onions interplanted to kind of complement each other. And it was a bit of an experiment with the carrots, but like the salads, the carrots were a really nice surprise because they actually came up really well. This picture is taken from the middle of the plot, looking up towards the compost bins, and you can see once again that absolute mountain of brambles. You can also see the second shed which was on the plot. Unfortunately, this was well past saving. We had to bring it down. The silver lining is that there were a few bigger pieces of timber in there which I was able to salvage. And now, with the shed removed and the brambles gone, here we have bed 3. This we thought was going to be great because we got rid of the majority of the brambles, but once we started digging we realised that up here where the foundation of the shed was just completely filled with stones that took ages to get rid of, and in here just beneath the soil there was loads of black plastic matting, and under normal scenario that would be okay to pull up, but it had been here for about 4 or 5 years, so it was filled with stuff growing through it, brambles, grasses, everything. It took an age to get rid of. But once we got rid of it and we dug this over, I was able to turn this one into a really nice potato bed. I grew loads of different varieties, and the crops from the earlies were great, but the later crops were much better than the main crop. And then later on, after the potatoes, I turned this part into a leek bed, and they did really well. I was a bit worried about onion white rot, but they came through really nice. Unfortunately, bed 4 was much the same story. This was where all of the black plastic matting was and the foundational stones over there. But this one we were able to turn into a fantastic harvest of squashes, courgettes and cucumbers. I think this might be my favourite bed because we were able to cover it and it had the least weeds when it came to plant into it. Everything that came out of here was amazing. So many courgettes and cucumbers, and the squashes came through really well as well. So I'm very fond of this bed. Now it's got its onions in it, it's just starting to come up. Very nice. This next part of the plot is where the carpet began. We had absolutely no idea this was here until I tried to shove my spade into the soil. After pulling up a large section of carpet, we were left with this huge patch of barren looking earth. And I thought this would be a good place to attempt a no-dig bed, so I've been watching a lot of Charles Dowding in preparation. And was this a success? Well, sort of. Did it help us keep weeds out? No. Was that because we used bad compost filled with weed seed? Yes. Did all that compost help us grow incredible crops? Yes, absolutely. This became the brassica bed. In here I got some really nice crops of kohlrabi, earliest of all spring cabbage, and what you see in here now is absolutely loads and loads of purple sprouting broccoli. Almost more than I can eat, but I love this stuff. It's amazing. So I think it was a success, yes. Now originally, once again, we thought this part of the plot was going to be much easier than all of the brambles. It just looked like long grasses dominated this part of the plot, but nothing about converting this plot was easy. This is where we discovered the rotting builder's bag full of old compost, and the fact that the ground here was chock-a-block with stones, just like the foundation of the shed. In what was an inspired moment, I think, we decided that instead of trying to shift all of the compost from the builder's bag, which was half breaking down, I would instead shift a load of the compost straight onto this no-dig bed, so it didn't have too far to go. And what was left, I would just build around and convert into a raised bed for the strawberries.
Nice and sturdy.
And in what was an awesome stroke of luck, just a few days after I built this strawberry bed, a plot neighbour came along and just offered me a load of spare strawberries that they had going. Really nice result. And I was harvesting strawberries all summer long from here, snacking while I was working on the plot. Wonderful. And this area just here next to the strawberry bed is where all of those stones were. So instead of trying to dig those up and convert this into productive land, you can see them all down here. It's more stone than soil. So instead of trying to convert this to productive land, I just kind of tamped it down and put my seating area here, which is where I can take my breaks and just enjoy being up here. Well, that is for about 2 seconds until I see jobs that need doing. So this area at the end of the plot also looked like it was going to be really easy, just rank grasses, but it's about here that there was hidden a massive builder's bag that was just full of like browns, like tree prunings, massive bramble stems, all this stuff that was never going to break down. And for a big part of the year, this area just became the dumping ground, basically, where all the stuff that was left over from when we took the plot on was stored. And it's only very recently, in the last few episodes, I've been able to create this lovely bed down here, which is fresh, nothing in it, not growing anything in there yet. And then at the end of kind of winter, I got my garlic in just in the nick of time with this new bed that I created here. You might also have noticed the shed in these pictures, but the less said about this shed, the better. And of course, throughout those pictures, you will have seen the greenhouse at various different stages. This is all complete now. Well, I say that, it's not all complete. This is just a sheet of glass. The polycarbonate in the roof likes to fly off, so nothing's perfect, but that's just on brand for the channel, really. But this has just been a delight to have, especially on days like today where the weather is changeable, somewhere to go. And of course, it's been home to my seedlings, my tomatoes, and this year it will be home to far too many chilies squeezed in there. So it's been wonderful to get this up. It was one of the first things that we wanted to do on the plot, really. I'm gonna be honest, it's not been easy. At almost no stage has this been easy. It's thrown up so many challenges, and trying to balance it with personal life, it's been difficult. But my goodness, it's so rewarding. That's what keeps me coming back. You know, that's what makes it all worthwhile. It's so wonderful, and it's so great being able to kind of look back at these before and afters, but also every time I make a harvest, I'm kind of reminded of what the plot looked like when we first took it on, and it's just so wonderful. I wanted this to be a really quick kind of short story of the allotment and kind of looking at those before and afters. Just wanted this to be a nice little positive one because my goodness, we need it, don't we? What a year. I really hope you've enjoyed. If you've watched all the way to the end, thank you ever so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you again next time.